everyone. Are we good? Thank you. I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening for the Bradford Exempted Village Board of Education December 14th regular session. And if we could stand for the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, and liberty for justice for all. Carly, can we have the roll call, please?
Dr. Swab.
Here.
Mrs. Brewer.
Here.
Pastor Reindl.
Here.
Mr. Biesecker.
Here.
Mr. Miller.
Here.
I'd like to welcome everyone here this evening, as we will be meeting virtually this evening due to quarantine issues among members of the committee. And next, we are at our reviewing our agenda. We have our regular administrative reports this evening, as well as new and old business, and there will be an executive session at the end of the meeting for which no action will be taken after the executive session. Now I'd like to turn it over for our student staff spotlight, as well as our administrative report. Mrs. Levy?
Thank you. This evening, we have people doing duties tonight, so I'm going to try to take over and do as best I can to represent the entire school. We have Bradford December Students of the Month. As we can see, some beautiful faces there that are our Students of the Month. I will just now go over why they were chosen. We have Ronnie Keener and Zoe Burgett and Raina Clark and Zane Jones. So we're going to start with Ronnie Keener. Ronnie Keener was nominated by Mr. Grillo. He says, I would like the board to recognize Ronnie Keener. Ronnie is the son of Sean and Fanchen Keener. He has an older brother, Eric, and an older sister, Bianca. Ronnie has been working very hard this year and truly always tries his best. He is a math whiz. Language arts does not always come as easily to him, but keeps working at it with a positive attitude, I can tell you that much. It has raised his reading grade from a C last quarter to an A so far this quarter. Not only is Ronnie a hard worker, he is also a very kind person. He has a very big heart and is kind to everyone. He enjoys riding his four-wheeler at his dad's and riding his bicycles and playing outside with his friends. His positive attitude and kind demeanor are always great to have in class. Thank you for recognizing the wonderful young man, Ronnie Keener. We also have from Mrs. Fry, Zoe Burgett. Zoe Burgett is currently a third grade student at Bradford Elementary. Mrs. Fry has nominated her for recognition because of her dedication to learning and positive attitude in her classroom. Zoe is always eager to start the day and will never complain about work that is assigned to her. Not every task comes easy to Zoe, but she doesn't let that stop her from showing her best work. I can always trust that she will take her time and use the strategies she has learned to help her get the correct answers. Zoe is also a wonderful model for peers in and out of the classroom. She demonstrates respect to all teachers and students and is always willing to help others. I have greatly enjoyed having Zoe in class and can't wait to see all the goals she accomplishes this year and beyond. Congratulations to our two elementary students. Our next one, which I said was Zane, and I apologize, that is actually Ian Pittman, so I apologize for that. He was nominated by Mrs. Fair. Ian is an 8th grade student and the son of Homer and Vicki Pittman. Ian is a kind-hearted student that is always eager to help out around the school and the classroom. He has shown maturity and growth in my classroom this school year, both socially and academically. Ian has been putting forth a good effort to be on time to class, participate in class discussions and activities, and complete all of his assignments in a timely manner. He has even begun to become involved in extracurricular activities like student council and powerlifting. Ian is always positive and encouraging to his classmates. Ian is the kind of student that Bradford Exempted Village School District is proud to have. Congratulations, Ian. We also have Raina Clark, who was nominated by Mr. Hall. Raina is a 6th grade student at Bradford Schools. She is the daughter of Raymond and Harmony Clark. Raina's work ethic, desire to succeed, and willingness to assist others are just a few of the character traits she demonstrates on a daily basis in the classroom. She is constantly asking questions to gain a better understanding of concepts. As soon as she grasps the concepts, she is talking to other students to make sure they understand as well. She always has a smile on her face and something nice to say to each individual in the classroom. Raina is an exceptional representative of Bradford Exempted Village School District. Congratulations, Raina. Lastly, Mrs. Least nominated our staff spotlight of Mr. Albright. Mr. Albright always works hard, never complains, that's the truth, and has a positive attitude. Our band is small but mighty, and they're steadily improving. They make Bradford proud, and they have come so far with Mr. Albright as our band director. So congratulations, Mr. Albright. Recently, we had the band concert, and I think it was a success. I know during COVID times, it'd be really easy just to say that we're not going to have a band concert, but he continued and did a great job, and I could hear them practicing throughout the school. We also had our elementary and junior high school spelling bee. We're still going to be having that. The Darke County spelling bee will take place in Mississinawa, but for the elementary, we had our first place winner was Landon McNutt, and our runner-up was Zeb Levy. So congratulations to both these gentlemen. They all worked very hard at that spelling bee. For the junior high spelling bee winners, we had Braden Duff, who's an 8th grader, and our runner-up was Lance Miller, one of our 7th graders. So congratulations to both of them as well. We also have a Daughters of the American Revolution Good Citizen Award, and this went to Olivia Daughtery. And I got to tell you, she's in the school helping whenever she has a time off from college or any other time. She received a Good Citizen Award and Scholarship Contest, which was created in 1934. It's intended to encourage and reward the qualities of good citizenship, and we are so proud of Olivia. She's going to do great things once she lives. I just know it. Recently, been having our canned food drive for our Bradford Food Pantry. We Can Make a Difference food drive is being presented by our student council. As you can see, all the nice food that's been donated around the tree. We continue till Wednesday to have those donations, and then the elementary will receive a movie and a goodies party during the movie on Monday, if they got 70 cans per person. These are just some things that were happening around the school. My dog is barking, so I apologize for that. We had a 4th grade turkey traps. So we had some turkey traps that the 4th grade set to try to catch a turkey for Thanksgiving. It was kind of neat to see the creative thought process that went into building those. Sad to say, I don't think any turkeys were trapped, though, but it was a good try. Mrs. Schmitz also had some donations that were given by her sister-in-law to allow the kids to price things, earn money that they had through their class economy, and they were able to buy things. As you can see, one of our students even had the sunglasses that he was for sure going to buy for himself. But it was neat that they did this in their classroom, and then other students in the school at the elementary were allowed to go down there then as well in case they weren't going to be able to find things to purchase for their parents. So it's always neat to go down there and see that family of students. We just today received our 2020-2021 fall scores for the 3rd grade air test. I'm proud to say that last year we were at 8% proficient score. This year we got up to a 32% proficient score. I can't talk. And then for our promotion score, which is that 3rd grade reading guarantee, we went from 37% last year to 55% that have a promotive score this year. Like I said, I'm very pleased. I think a lot has to do with the fact that the board has been committed to making sure we went to 1-to-1 with Chromebooks, which help those kids be able to be proficient on how to use those Chromebooks. So thank you. And like I said, I'm really excited to see where our scores were. Again, they get to take this again in the springtime. So I am really excited. I know we still have ways to go, but to see the progress is pretty amazing considering our COVID times. And then last, I don't know a lot about this, but we have a website update, and I don't know if Mr. Hurst will go over this some more, but it's been neat to see the website change. Mr. Daughtery's done a lot to make sure that it was up to date and user-friendly for us as we went into the new website update. And that does my report. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I don't have questions, but just to follow up on that website, Mr. Daughtery and a team of staff members, teachers, secretaries, all got together and evaluated the website, looked at different options. They wanted to stay with the same company, School Point, and they did a great job restructuring things. This has been a project of better than a year in the process. So what you see there is, to me, it's still a work in progress. It is getting much, much better. But if you look at our website, it looks much easier to navigate than what it did prior to this. So check it out. Check it out.
I know when you look at other websites, this one is, I think it's very easy to manage and get through. So I think Mr. Daugherty's done a good job with it.
Great. Looks super. Any questions for Mrs. Levy? Thank you very much. Our next items on our agenda is the adoption of the agenda. Do we have any additions or deletions to the printed agenda, which we'll have on the screen? Hearing none, do we have a motion for approval?
I so move.
I'll second.
And Maria, any question or discussion? Hearing none, then roll call for approval.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
So our next item is approving of the minutes. We have a motion to approve the November 16th, 2020 regular meeting and November 16th, 2020 special session record retention meeting. Can I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
Mr. Miller?
I'll second.
And thank you, Mr. Biesecker. Any discussion or questions? Hearing none, roll call for approval, please.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker, Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Next item on our agenda is our administrative reports, and turn the meeting over to Mr. Hurst.
All right, I have two things I wanted to discuss here today. All of it revolved around COVID, big surprise. Updates on how we're doing here in the district. We have had accumulated 13 total cases in our building since the beginning of this whole escapade, of which 7 staff members and 6 students have been those 13 total cases. Currently, we have 30 students that are quarantined. And the good news is this past week, I have to send in every Monday a report to the health departments, both in Darke and Miami counties, of any positive cases that we've got in our district. This week, it was the first time I sent in a note with 0 positive cases. So I thought that was very positive. So we'll see where things go. The next piece of this, talking with our friends in Darke County, and of course, since we're on the west side of town here, or west side of 721, we are technically inside of Darke County in our building. So we deal with Darke County Health Department to make all our decisions for anything related to this. This past week and over the course of many weeks before, we've been discussing the possibility of going remote for a short time after Christmas break. On Friday this past week, we met with Dr. Holman, who is the health department director in Darke County, and he asked Darke County schools to go remote during that first week of January 4th to January 8th. So all the superintendents at that time that were in the meeting basically said we would try to make that happen. So during that week of January 4th to January 8th, Bradford will be remote during that time. We have had many questions about, well, what about this? What about that? So there will be a few exceptions, a few different pieces to this. Our students in the JVS over at Upper Valley Career Center will continue with their education. We'll continue to bus them back and forth. We will continue with scheduled activities such as ball games and things like that, just because they're much smaller groups of people. Instead of having the accumulated 500 students here in our building at any given time, we'll have small pods of students, if you will, doing those athletics after school and practices and competitions. Lunches, we will continue to provide lunches during that time, lunches and breakfasts. I've already talked to Cheryl Clark, our food services director. She's been absolutely amazing with things like this, especially. She's preparing meals. She's preparing those menus for that week and making sure that everything's lined up. And we've even talked about how to get meals to students that can't get here to school to pick those meals up on a daily basis. So we're going through a lot of troubleshooting right now, trying to make sure that all our answers are there for questions that may not have even been asked yet. I'm sure we're going to find something new and different, but we're trying to prepare as best we can right now for that 1 week shutdown, January 4th through the 8th. With that, that's all I have. Unless you have questions.
Last spring, you were distributing lunches out at the parking lot, weren't you? So you're not planning on doing that this time?
No, last year when we did that in the spring, the weather was just a little more cooperative, I think, than what we'll get in January. So instead of taking that bus down to the park to distribute as a central hub there, where students would have to, we had a lot of students riding their bikes up or walking to the park and those type of things. Instead of doing that, Mrs. Clark has basically offered to say, let's do hot meals. Let's make sure we're giving students that opportunity to get exactly what they would have if they were coming into the school. And so she's going to take chafing dishes into the lobby out here in the front of the building. And students, if they can get here to the school, whether it be driving through, whatever it is, come in, grab a hot meal, and then be able to leave at that point and go back home. The secondary piece of that, and I'm not quite sure how everything's going to line up with this. We're talking about pieces on top of that for those that can't get here to school. So we hope to have a secondary option for this, but I don't necessarily feel like we're at the point of announcing what that looks like just yet. We have talked about maybe finding a central hub that would be indoors in town somewhere. We've talked about a couple different places that might be a venue where we could just take and leave hot meals. But again, there's regulations to all this, and we want to make sure that we're working within that framework to make sure that Cheryl doesn't, number one, do anything that would harm anybody with food safety wise. But number two, make sure that she does everything within her abilities to keep her license and do the right thing for distributing those. So no, we won't have the bus there in town, but we are talking about different options. Other questions?
Thank you very much. Next on our agenda is Mrs. Brewer for an update on Upper Valley CC.
I just have a quick update. Can you hear me? Hello?
Yes, we can.
Okay, sorry. Dr. Lou sent us an email last week. They held their annual open house for opportunity for sophomores to go and check out the Career Center. A lot of schools weren't able to participate in the sophomore career days or their Explore Career Days, so they still held their open house and they had a great turnout. They had 489 students apply that night, and last year they only had 485. So their online applications were higher than it was last year, And she said a number of the labs are over capacity, and a lot of them are approaching capacity. So even though things had to be virtual, or the way things are with COVID, and they still had a great turnout. So that was exciting news for the Career Center. And also, it was Dr. Luce's last meeting. She's been with us for over 12 years, and she retired. So we had a little retirement party for her, but Mr. Hawk will be replacing her or taking her spot in January, and he's been the assistant superintendent for a couple years, and he will do a great job. And that's all I have. Any questions? Okay.
Oh, great. Thank you very much. Next is a report from the treasurer. Mrs. Serber, do you have anything for us this evening?
Just wanted to tell you we're busy wrapping up everything for the end of the year, working to get all our activities streamlined. We're using the new software this year, so it's still somewhat of a learning situation for us, but it's going quite well. I did ask that we remove the budget from the agenda tonight. One, I didn't have quite as much information as I needed from the county auditor because they're still finalizing. I have the Darke County numbers. I don't have the Miami County numbers on the new appraisal numbers, and I'd like to have that. I need to have that as an accurate reflection. And then I just wanted to put a few more numbers together on that. I'll be bringing that to you shortly, and that will be voted on in the January meeting, which is in plenty of time to have that filed. But other than that, that's all I have to report tonight.
Do we have any questions? Hearing none, thank you very much. Next is a public participation section, and I did not see any requests present for that. Next item on our agenda is the financial reports from the treasurer. The superintendent recommends, as you can see before you, approval of the financial journal, the check register, the now and then certifications as listed, approval of the permanent appropriations, transfer and advances, donations from the Eagles and Tabitha, and new funds for school district planning. And do I have a motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Mr. Biesecker, thank you. In a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Miller, thank you. Any questions regarding any of the items before us? Hearing none, then roll call for approval.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
So we have no old business this evening. New business items. Consent agenda. The superintendent recommends approval of, as you can see, supplemental contracts, contract with Meta Solutions, approval of tuition reimbursement, approval for another reimbursement. Item 4. Item 5 is approval of contract view. Item 6 is approval of scholarship fund in memory of 27 graduate Bryant Briers. Next, item 7 is a resolution to participate in OSB Legal Assistance Fund. Item 8 is approving the 2020 annual membership dues to OSBA. Number 9 is approving continuing participation in the Dayton Area School Employment Consortium. Next item is a contract for Ed Hoover as our bus mechanic. Item 11 is temporarily suspending the board policy 2430 as noted. Item 12 is approving sand and refinishing the wood floor in the stage area. Item 13 is authority to the superintendent to continue to follow the local authorities and transition to remote learning as needed. Item 14 is approving the change order for the vestibule project. Item 15 is employment of Carol Forsyth. And number 16 is approving contract with Hamilton County Educational as a fiscal agent for Hillcrest Academy for one of our students. And any questions? We'll have a motion to approve the items presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
And Mr. Miller is a second. Any discussion, questions, or clarifications from board members on the items before us?
Where is this location that the buses are being worked on?
Mr. Hoover lives just there on Klinger Road, just the other side of Bradford. So relatively close, basically a mile here from the school. So he's even offered to say he can come up and get the buses, take back to his barn, and hopefully take care of things there.
On item number 12, didn't we discuss that a few months back? Or was that the other Jim?
We had talked about different things here. We talked about when they redid the floors in the gymnasiums, they talked about doing the stage last year and they didn't do it. At the time they said, okay, well, maybe the custodial staff can do it on their own. But we got to the point of looking at it and we think we need a professional to come in here and take care of some of those big gouges and scratches that have been there that are probably a little beyond what they're comfortable sanding through. So they're figuring on doing that here over Christmas break, which will completely redo the floor of the stage. And then during that 1 week shutdown in January, we talked about going in and finish painting around it and doing some things to tidy up the place to make it look just a little nicer.
What all is involved?
We've never done nothing with it since the school's been built.
Yeah, that stage is
Be money well spent.
for 20 years. Yep.
What's involved with his contract with the Hamilton County?
We have a student that is court placed in a facility in Hamilton County right now. So we are under obligation to fulfill the contract with Hamilton County ESC for his education moving forward. So it is a situation where I don't think the boy wants to be where he is, and we really don't have much of a say on where he is and who's educating him at this point. It's an obligation that we don't have much control over.
So this is education cost as opposed to somebody just watching over funding.
Correct.
Okay.
Do we have any other questions regarding the items before us? Hearing none, then roll call for approval.
Pastor Rindle,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Schwab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Next item is someone interested in presiding over the organizational meeting in January. The meeting looks like it's scheduled for January the 11th. Is that right? Which is the second Monday. You can use that
Does
little
this need voted on or we just appoint it? Can we just?
I don't know, Carla. It's listed here as a vote.
It doesn't actually require a vote, but if you can have a discussion and determine who will do that.
Just a discussion and an appointment? Okay. So I guess we will scratch the vote. It's just a discussion and appointment, general consensus. You can use that little hand raise thing at the bottom. Do you guys see that? You can.
I can do it. It's only for 15 minutes, so it's
right.
No big deal.
All right. So Mr. Miller. Any other, if no other volunteers, we'll appoint Mr. Miller to President Pro Tem for the January 11th meeting.
may I ask what time are we going to start the reorganization meeting?
Mr. Hurst, do you have usually at 6 o'clock, and then the other one is to follow at 6:30?
I'm good with whatever. I think we advertised everything, the meeting itself at 6:30, so we could do the organizational meeting just before if you'd like at 6.
6.
Yeah. Yep.
Usually how we get it.
Yep, that works.
Yeah, I don't, we're not locked into that at this point because but it's whatever works for the good of the order.
Yeah, well, that's anticipated to be in person at the school unless no, you guys are out. Are you guys remote that week? No, the next week.
No.
Right.
So unless something changes with the order from the health department, that would anticipate it to be, unless there's a large group of us that are not able based on risk. Okay. So Mr. Miller for number 17. Next item is the first reading of the following Neola policies that you see listed. Do we have any questions for our administrative team regarding those? We had those forwarded to us, and it was really nice with the red and the green. Makes it a little easier to view.
If any of you have questions, I will gladly answer what I can. Most of it's just to update with legal changes that have come about, but there really wasn't a lot of decision making in any of this time around.
Sorry, I couldn't catch my microphone. It kept jumping when I was trying to turn it back on. Any other, if no other questions, then how about the administrative guidelines that's been approved by the superintendent regarding attendance and purchasing? Any other questions regarding those or explanations you feel is needed? So hearing none, we'd consider that to be our initial reading of the policies and administrative guidelines. Next item is a request to enter executive session for item G1 on the agenda. Do we have a motion? Mr. Bisecker and second, Mr. Miller. Do you have a roll call for entering an executive session?
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Bisecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
And there will be no items addressed or votes taken after the executive session. We'll adjourn immediately after completion of the executive session.
on adjournment. I'm not, okay. Live stream is back. We're good.
All right, so we are currently exited executive session at 7:06. And any other issues prior to adjournment?
Yes, I would like for us to reschedule the previous meeting that we had scheduled with the treasurer for our financial. We were going to have a meeting for that and we had to cancel it. So I would like to reschedule that and a work session, please.
So we're looking at the last couple weeks of January?
Sure.
What would everybody's schedule look like?
Well, if we have our traditional meeting and organizational meeting on the 11th, if we went 2 weeks after that, which would be my suggestion on the 25th, maybe for this work session, and that would give us 2 weeks before, if we continue with the same schedule, 2 weeks before the next meeting.
I don't have any conflicts. Does anybody have any conflicts on January the 25th?
No, it's fine.
What is that? The fourth Monday?
One,
Yeah.
two,
Yeah.
3, 4. Yes.
It's the fourth Monday.
I can't remember our Upper Valley meetings. I think that will be okay.
Is there any thought about maybe Tuesday if you're not sure?
You know what? I think that is, well, we're going to have our January meeting a little earlier, but we don't have to have it by the 15th this year. So I'm not sure. Actually, could we do a Tuesday or Wednesday if it's that late into the month?
I'm going to say instead of Wednesday, do Thursday before Lou even has to say anything.
Okay.
I have a meeting on Wednesdays, so I can't.
I'm open to Thursdays. In fact, when we talk about organizational meetings for next year, Thursday would be a great day for board meetings, but
The reason we never went on a Thursday was because there was, at that time, a lot of members who had kids or grandkids that had sports, and there's a lot of sports and other activities on Thursdays. And we went Mondays, well, we went Wednesdays for a lot of years. Then we kind of got away from that, but there was, and Mondays was the next day that was least amount of activities going on in the school that anybody would like to go to. So that's the reason we went Mondays.
okay.
The fourth Monday will be fine with me. If that's okay. I just looked at my schedule.
So the 25th?
Yes, the 25th will be fine.
Joe, did you want it on that Thursday?
I'm okay either way. I like Thursdays, but I get the rationale what you guys were talking about too. So if we need to stick with Mondays have seemed to work. I'm not going to buck the system.
So how about on that last? I have a meeting on the 27th, which is a Wednesday, but I have a presentation that I have to give and prepare. So if all works well, I won't need Monday night to finish up and get the emails out. So we should be okay. I guess, yeah, that'll work, the 25th. Because I think about it, I should be okay.
What time?
25th at 6:30.
Sounds great.
And that'll be a work session for us, and then we'll do evaluations at that time. And so you guys will forward us the preliminary stuff that we would need to review prior to that, so that we can then do a discussion and presentation then at the end of the work session. It would be a work session with an executive session at the end for evaluation reviews.
And I would like to suggest that we put together a tentative agenda of things that we consider should be discussed, but for your perusal before it's finalized, to make sure that we hit all the topics that you might want to cover in that meeting, just so we're very complete on how we approach this.
That sounds like a great idea. So you'd want us to reach out to you by either email or just giving you a call for issues that we want to make sure is covered?
I think that would be good. That way, and we'll do a tentative agenda and just give you some thoughts, but anything you want to offer that we need to cover, I think would be good. If we just want to make it sure that we cover all the bases on this meeting.
Okay. Sounds good. So it should be probably shooting almost like a 6:30 to, yeah, maybe a long one. So that might be like a 9 o'clocker to put in your schedules. What time do you go to work, Mike?
I don't.
Oh,
I'm just like Scott. We're both bums now.
you made it. So you made it to the finish line. That's what's
Yeah.
excellent. So we got down the 25th, 6:30 to 9:30.
If it's going to be such a long one, do we need to start at 6?
6s are hard for me to get, especially on a Monday in the middle of a pandemic. I mean, it's you just never know what's going to happen. Depends on how people.
I won't fall asleep. I can stay up till the next 9:30, 10 o'clock.
All right.
I can't promise you.
Huh?
I can't promise you that.
You can't promise that, Scott?
No,
I can. I'm pretty good till 10 o'clock.
Well, I hope if we're organized and we've got all the topics covered and we have the information there, it'll make it flow pretty well.
Good.
Then if we have an agenda, everybody will know what they're going to talk about before we get there too.
Right. So as long as we don't have too many questions or too much confusion, we'll be okay. As long as we're not too confused. Do we have any other discussions other than just setting up that meeting? So sounds great. Hearing none, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second.
Maria, a second, and everybody for a first.
So moved.
Scott for a first and Maria for a second, and I think we already voted. So roll call, please.
Pastor Reindl,
Yes.
Mr. Biesecker,
Yes.
Mr. Miller,
Yes.
Dr. Swab,
Yes.
Mrs. Brewer.
Yes.
Thanks everyone this evening for your time and energy. You guys have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Everybody.